Oke. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning Mbak Gayatri, Mbak Azahra, Mbak Nabila Yumna, Mas Ihsan, dan Mas Bagus Majid. And I am Nuzulia Nur Farida, and this time today I would like to discuss about developing the test for grammar, pronunciation, as well as for the vocabulary. So, all of you guys can see my slide here. So, developing English grammar, vocab, and pronunciation. Why are teaching grammar, vocab, and pronunciation matter? So, the first reason is the importance of teaching grammar because grammar is the system that structures language for the clear and accurate expressions of ideas. It supports for all language skills. It supports reading, speaking, listening, reading and writing skills. It improves communication and enhance writing skills. And the importance of teaching vocab is the first enables us to practice communications. It also supports all four language skills and it facilitates academic and career success. For pronunciation, it is matter because pronunciation ensures clarity and avoid misunderstandings in communications, and it also builds our confidence in speaking. It enhances professional and social interactions. And the four language curriculum in Indonesian for foreign language context is the first is content-based approach, communicative approach, grammar-based approach, and task-based approach. And for the content-based approach is usually based on thematic subject matter. It utilizes authentic material such as internet sources, newspaper, magazine, and browser, promotes students' learnings of new informations, and how we as a teacher and why what should teachers do? The first is teachers should encourage learners learn language by using English as a real communication tool in class. Several implementations in Indonesia state that a content-based approach can improve students' speaking skills and improve classroom situations. And the second is communicative approach. Wait. And for the third, the language curriculum in Indonesia is task-based approach. So lessons are based on completing key tasks and presenting the task. It focuses on solving problems that relevant to everyday communication needs. And the third is that the task requires communications or interactions to solve a problems, to design, to plan situated learning, and so on and so forth. And then for the fourth is grammar-based approach. So grammar-based approach focus on learning and teaching grammar. It teach the students the grammar rules, patterns, and solutions relating to authentic and meaningful sentence structures. And what should the teachers do? In grammar-based approach, the grammar are taught using various methods, not only through directed grammar teaching like GTM, grammar translation method, but the grammar used as the foundations for the development of all language skills. So the grammar is being integrated into speaking, listening, writing, and reading aspects. The key competencies for English language lesson in Indonesians in the context of a foreign language. The first is uh, supporting competencies through composing text of oral and written, short and simple of transactional interactions. The second, through composing text of oral written in short and simples of interpersonal interactions. And the second, it's using appropriate utterances and strategical competency in problem solving. And how are grammar, vocab, and pronunciation being taught in Indonesian? There are several methods in teaching English. The first is through scientific, cognitive, communicative, integrative, and the best strategies to teach English as a foreign language is through integrative approach. So integrative approach, the vocab, the grammar, and pronunciation is being taught in a context. Astagfirullahaladzim. And the grammar, the rules of grammar can be taught through communicative activities, such as it can be through debates, it can be through role playing, and so on. And pronunciation for meaning. Pronunciation can be integrated into speaking activities. For example, students can practice correct stress intonations of new vocab as they use them in conversation. So here are the review of English language lesson books for 10 grades. This is the cover and this is the theme. So in senior high school, the English lessons is supported through thematic themes. Yeah, like the first is through sports, and here is for the scope and sequence. Aduh, can you see my slide clearly? Yeah. Yeah, okay. So here is the scope and sequence. So the theme is sports. The topic is about athlete. So the learning is being integrated into listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And also it provides students with project and vocab, and also grammar and structure. And for the goals for vocabulary is about sports, physical description, and the grammar, the goals is around the present simple tense, adjective, and adverbs for describing. Yeah, here are the content of the 10 books, of the 10 grade books of senior high schools in Indonesia. So the book provides a topic and then several tasks and also reflections as well as for assessment. Okay, yeah. So here is several tasks provided in the book, so you can read and learn by yourself. Yeah, I think I should skip this, so as we would not consume much time. Yes, so here are several tasks. And then for assessments of the current language curriculum. Two basic forms of language assessment in Indonesian is through formative assessment and summative assessment. For summative assessment, it is conducted usually at the end of the course program. It can be through written assessment, performance-based assessment. For written assessment, it can be through final exam, and then research paper, written project, PowerPoint slide, or portfolio. And for the performance-based, it can be through oral presentations, daily communication, and then debate, podcast, and so on. And here is for formative assessment. So formative assessment, conducting by and authentic assessment. For authentic assessment, it is requiring students to use their competencies and attitudes in the situation, in a classroom situations. And here is for the project rubrics or rubrics of assessment for a senior high school students in level 10. Here is based on the books provided. And for the grammar, there are several grammar competencies provided for Indonesians senior high school students. The key grammatical competencies include the first, understanding language function, logical text construction, formulating and presenting ideas. And for the phase F, or grades 11 and 12, it provides students, or it requires students to being creative and critical thinking, and then evaluate the textual, or evaluate several texts provided like narrative and then descriptive, yeah. And it also provides students with literary analysis. Yeah, and for the outline. So here is the outline that will be the next discussion. Yeah, defining grammatical knowledge. Grammatical knowledge based on the Brown, it interconnected into three elements. That the first is grammatical forms, grammatical meanings, and pragmatic meanings. So learning grammar cannot be separated from these three elements, yeah. The forms, the meanings, and the pragmatic meanings. And okay. Here is the framework of grammatical competence based on the Purpuras in 2004. And for designing assessment tasks, the first is selected response. So selected response is like a multiple choice. The input can be language or non-language, and then the test taker is expected to select the correct response, and then the response are being scored into 0 or 1 point, and also uh, within partial credit scoring into 0, 1, or 2. Yeah, this is the examples of multiple choice tasks for the grammatical form. So the grammatical forms, uh, it is not really needs understandings of the context, because the needs is only for the grammatical form. And here is the examples of multiple choice tasks in grammatical meaning, and here is for the examples of tasks for grammatical form and meaning. The second types of multiple choice task is discrimination task. The discrimination tasks are used to measure difference between two similar areas of grammatical project, such as pronouns, objects, and this is for noticing tasks. Yeah, so the next is for limited productions. Okay, you can read it by yourself. The examples of limited productions is gap filling task. So I think you have already know this kind of form, gap filling task. Yeah, and then the next is short answer task. And for the short answer task, the input is presented in the form of questions, following reading passage, and then the expected test taker response vary from a single word to a sentence or two words. And the next kind of task is dialogue completion task. So there will be a dialogue and the students have to complete the dialogue. And another kind is extended productions. The forms is through information gap task. Yeah, so you can read it by yourself. And then the next is role play. And here is for how teachers assess vocab. Wait, wait. Slide it up. So here is the nature of the vocab. Yeah, we identify words into tokens and types. So tokens are all words in the paragraph, and the types is the words that are of different verb forms. Sorry. Yeah, this is for the defining lexical knowledge. So the knowledge of lexical are being built by context and then fundamental process of vocabulary acquisition as well as metacognitive strategies. And some considerations in designing the vocabulary test is the first to clarify your purpose. The second is define your construct, select your target words, and determine the mode of the performance. Yeah, that okay. So this time we are going to design the assessment task for vocabulary. So the task for vocabulary being divided into two forms. The first is recept. Yeah, the first types is vocabulary matching exercise. The second is fill in the blank and selective deletion clause. And for creating a good test, we have to remember these 5 principles that before we are going to design the assessment, we have to make sure the concepts of the validity, reliability, practicality, authenticity, as well as the worst-back effects. Okay, so the first slide, this slide is giving us examples of vocabulary brainstorming. Yeah, we could use this in the process of learning. So teachers support students with uh, vocabulary brainstorming. So he will read the dictionary and then they write several words based on this letter A, B, C, D until Z that relates to the themes of exercise and sports. And here is also the examples of grammar activities that is support students into adjective and adverbs. Yeah, the next is also about the grammar concepts of adjective and adverbs. So this is called as the grammar game. So students use several letters to make adjective for each word. For examples, the first example is the word easy. So students will combine the letter E and then A and then S and also Y to perform the word that is related to the context of sports and also exercise. It, here is also the another examples of adjective and adverbs of task or assessment about the adjective and adverbs of grammar. Yeah, I think you can learn it by yourself after this lesson. And here is for the examples of multiple choice questions. Here is also the examples of not multiple choice question, but it's like a gap filling, yeah, or students have to choose the right answer based on these several 15 questions. Yeah. So friends, here is the examples of the vocabulary assessment or vocabulary task that is integrated into reading lesson. So teachers provide students with reading passages or audio. So here you can play the audio. I include the website links in these symbols of audio, these pictures of audio. And the next is, yeah, this is the examples of vocabulary matching exercise, selective deletion clause, and then for the grammar, it includes the gap filling task or grammar multiple choice. And the next is support and exercise team that is integrated into listening lessons. So students have to complete the sentence or it is in a kind of gap filling task. So students have to complete the sentence. So students not only understand about the words, but also students need to understand the context. And also, here is the next examples or another examples that teachers provide students with dialogues and students have to complete the next following utterance based on the context being provided. Here is also vocabulary assessment that is integrating into listening aspects. Here also for the vocab. So the vocab, students has to complete the utterance. And here is another exercise. So yeah, the next is to assess the student's vocabulary and knowledge. Uh, it usually can be in the form of writing practice. So students have to write a paragraph about a favorite exercise or sport. Wait for a second. Sorry guys, because my laptop is lemot banget laptopnya, maaf. Yeah. So here is for speaking activity. And speaking activity, it also integrates the aspects of speaking into multiple choice item tasks. And this is for vocabulary assessment or task. So we will come to really end of phase of this discussion. So it is about the scoring rubric for grammar, pronunciations, and vocab in speaking skills. Yeah, so here is the scoring rubric for grammar, pronunciations, and vocab that is based on the CFR or Common European Framework of Rubrics of Scoring Rubric. Here is for the vocab aspect, the discourse, and then the grammar, strategic knowledge, the fluency, as well as the pronunciation. Yeah. So this is the last and the end of the discussion. So thank you for listening and participating into our discussions. So friend, if you'd like to ask any questions, you can open your mic and or write in the box of chat. Okay, Mas Isan.
Assalamu alaikum, Ka. Thank you so much for your presentation. But I would like to give you suggestion. I don't think that you have to skip some slides. You skip many slides. What you add into your assignment, your presentation. If you don't want to explain them, I don't think that you have to add them because I don't think anyone will read anyone else presentation. So I think when you present your presentation, you must read each and every slide ka.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Mas Isan. Yeah, just because I add so many slides in my presentation, so and today there will be two presenters, so I think yeah, I need to make it faster than usual, Mas Isan. But so thank you for your suggestion and sorry for this inconvenience.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Okay.
Then I have another question. Before you discuss about formative and summative tests in Indonesian curriculum, so what do you think? Which test is more suitable according to Indonesian Merdeka curriculum? Formative or summative assessment?
So Talking about assessment, Mas Isan. So, yeah, because theories has been coming into several observations, and also it comes from research as well. So we couldn't make any fix of um, any fix of like um, the right I think, yeah, we cannot state that which one is the best, formative or summative. That's because we need these two kinds of assessment. We need to assess a student's performance through daily through daily conversations or through daily activity in classroom situations. We could assess students' participations. We could assess students' collaborations. We could assess students' critical thinking. We also assess students through their behavior and attitudes. So learning is not only about competencies. Yeah, we could also measure the student skills. We also measure students' behavior and attitudes in learning. Yeah, because Mas Isan, in Indonesia, we could also we are not only assess students through their competencies and skills, but usually teachers also uh, score students or assess students through their behavior, Mas Isan. So I think we need Mbak Zahra or Mbak Gayatri, ya. Mbak Zahra, because you are a teacher, do you agree with my statement, Mbak Zahra and Mbak Gayatri? Do you also assess students' behavior, Mbak Zahra and Mbak Gayatri?
Yes, exactly. I assess not only through formative and summative assessment, but also I have a look at the attitude, their behavior in the classroom.
Yeah. So
Yes, I have same argument with Mbak Gayatri because in our what is it, in our rapport there is like akhlak and scoring akhlak in my schools. So we have to assess our students about their akhlak and also the habitual and also their apa their knowledge gitu Mbak Nuzul.
yeah. Yeah, so that's the reason, Mas Isan. And knowledge cannot also being scored through one right time of situations like in a summative assessment. Summative assessment is being conducted only at the end of the lesson, like uh, final test or midterm test. But formative assessment is kind of like a continuity assessments of the students, ya. Jadi seperti kayak penilaian yang terus berlanjut begitu. But a theory stated that a summative assessment is more reliable, is more valid to assess the students' competencies or knowledge. Jadi summative assessment tuh lebih valid. Brown itu bilang kalau summative assessment tuh lebih valid untuk digunakan menilai kompetensi dari siswa begitu. Tapi penilaian itu kan nggak harus kompetensi, ya, maksudnya banyak aspek gitu. Kita bisa menilainya lewat formatif juga, lewat continuous assessment, ya, continuity assessment. Ya, how about Nabila? Can you give me more insight to Mas Isan about formative and summative assessment? What is considered as the best in our learning, Mbak Nabila? Mbak Nabila,
Hello?
halo, Mbak Nabila, can you
Can you
give
repeat the
us
questions,
more?
Mbak Nuzul?
Yeah, so can you give us more insight to Mas Ihsan's questions about what is considered the best as our assessment types, formative or summative?
I think both, Mbak, and I think I agree with you all.
Yeah. How about Mas Ihsan? Can you add some delivering suggestions or statements, Mas Ihsan?
Yeah, I think we don't have choice because we have to follow both of them. Because still we have in Pakistan and Indonesia old like curriculum, or we can say old facilities. So we don't have other option. Like a formative test is very hard to follow that, especially in school system, because like in school most of them have like final term, midterm, so we have to follow them both. Yeah, I am agree with you, but like a British school or Cambridge school, they have different uh, way of teaching, maybe way of evaluation assessment. They can follow formative test also, but in our system maybe it is hard to follow formative test. Yeah,
Okay, so in your aspects of classroom, it is in where, Mas? Where do you come from?
sorry kak,
Where do you come from, Mas Ihsan?
aku dari mana?
Yeah.
Aku dari Pakistan kak.
Oh, so you are from Pakistan. Why it's hard, Mas Ihsan, to apply the formative assessment in your country?
Yeah, we in school system we have only midterm and final term. No, in school we have only final term,
Oh,
final exams, end of semester. So how we can apply formative test system?
May I add something, Mbak
ya,
Nuzul
boleh,
and
boleh,
Mas
boleh.
Ihsan?
Yes.
Ya
Uh,
kak.
I said that I agree with you all about integrating formative and summative assessment. So I think formative and summative assessment are both essential components of effective learning. Formative assessment we know is conducted during the learning process, yeah, to monitor the students' progress and provide the ongoing feedback. And we know that it helps teacher identify the learning gaps, adjust the instruction, and guide students to improve their understanding. So this example, like what Mbak Nuzulia have mentioned before, like quizzes, reflection, and classroom discourse. And about summative assessment, on the other hand, it takes place after the learning process to evaluate the student's overall achievement. We know that the purpose is to measure the extent to which learning objectives have been met through the final exam, projects, or even from presentations. So in current educational practice or in curriculum Merdeka, the best approach we know is to integrate both types of formative assessment to enhance the learning and summative assessment to evaluate learning outcomes. So together, they create a balanced system that support continuous improvement, accountability, and the authentic demonstration of student skills. So formative assessment is important because it is as a way or a systematic way to enhance the learning throughout the process. So we know by utilize formative assessment in the class, we know the students progress, in the class, in each meeting, for example. So we can know what is the best strategies to apply for them, and we know, what is it, apa sih ya namanya yang students inclusion itu, yang students memiliki kebutuhan khusus. So we know what we should do as a teacher to help them to get a better ideas or to get a better learning in the classroom. while the summative assessment is to evaluate the learning outcomes. So after we use all of the strategies that we think it would be suitable for them in the classroom, we would like to know, are all of the strategies that we all used in the classroom is effective or not? That's why summative assessment is matter to evaluate the learning outcomes. So that's what I think, Mbak Nuzulia and Kak Isan.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you so much, Nabila. Okay.
Mbak Nuzul, well, this is a very interesting question. Yeah, this is a really interesting discussion. I would like to ask you a question as well. May I?
Yeah, yeah, Mbak.
So we know with with the transition from the 2013 curriculum ya to the curriculum Merdeka, to what extent do current approaches like, for example, content-based, task-based, or communicative reflect a truly context-sensitive pedagogy, or we know it as culturally responsive teaching that addresses Indonesian linguistic, cultural, and institutional realities. What adjustment might be necessary to make these approaches more responsive to students' needs, Mbak? Thank
Yeah,
you.
I think that it it is very hard for us, yeah, for our students as well as the teachers too, yeah. To continue the curriculum from 2013 curriculum into a revised 2013, and then now it comes to curriculum Merdeka, ya. I think ya Mbak Nabila, saya pikir ya 2013 aja itu udah susah, apalagi yang sekarang ini yang kurikulum Merdeka gitu. It needs it requires students to being very active, very responsive in their learning process. It also requires students to have a critical thinking to support uh, various activities that comes into the English classes, especially for uh, English as a foreign language. Okay, let open you these slides ya Mbak Yumna.
Oh, but before that, we forgot to ask Kak Isan. Kak Isan, do you want to add some comments for your question?
I don't think so. Now I need something because dulu saya sudah add many things. So now it's okay. Thank you so much, Kak Nabila.
Thank you, Kak Isan, and thank you, Mbak Nuzul. Yeah, we
Yeah.
know that it's kind of different, like, right, from Indonesia and Pakistan. In Pakistan, they don't have midterm test, and in Indonesia, we have it. But I think it's better for us to have a midterm test. So then we realized what have we learned throughout the classroom in the first until mid of the semester. So I think it's useful, but I also respect the system in your country, because we know as a student we also had tests, right? But yeah, I think it's very helpful for learners, as I think, as well as for teacher, because the teacher can make some adjustment, yeah, for the in the classroom. Oh yeah, Mbak Nuzul,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, okay. So Nabila, yeah, so here is our full language curriculum Indonesian context as English as a foreign language, yeah. This content is coming from these articles, Mubarak S. Komaria, and it reveals on the years of 2024. The full language curriculum in
But can
Indonesia.
you make it bigger, Mbak Nuzul?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So the first is English lesson is through content-based approach. So content-based approach, the character is that the lesson is based on thematic subject matter. And then the second is utilize authentic materials. And also in content-based approach, it promotes students with learning of so many new information. Yeah, it also considers the students' specific needs of students. So in this first approach, what really matters for the teachers and also the students to come into a success of this approach. Jadi teachers-nya kan harus kreatif juga ya, karena dia harus memprovide students with authentic materials, juga harus banyak-banyak menggali informasi yang terbaru gitu. Dan juga guru tuh harus memperhatikan the specific needs of students. Wah, ini tugasnya gurunya ini wah sangat-sangatlah wow gitu ya. It's not only from the students' perspectives that we have to adjust to success the lesson, but also from the teachers' competence and skills aspect. Jadi nggak hanya siswanya aja ya ternyata, tapi juga gurunya begitu. Gurunya harus banyak-banyak kreatif, harus banyak-banyak membaca pengetahuan-pengetahuan yang terbaru, yang relate dengan tema-tema yang ada dalam pembelajaran ini gitu. Terus yang kedua
Untuk izin bertanya kembali Mbak Nuzul, untuk di content based approach itu apakah ada example Mbak Nuzul?
ada, ini di slide saya ada kok. Ini berdasarkan buku yang terbaru yang di kurikulum ini ya. Nah, ini. Ini kan ada beberapa tugas gitu ya. There are several tasks provided in the books for the students exercise. Nah, for example, for this one, this is the task one. Students have to look and then discuss. Ya, for the theme is, nah ini temanya itu, yang pertama itu tentang sports gitu. Jadi tema besarnya sports, terus yang tema-tema subtopiknya tuh ada great athletes. Jadi membahas tentang atlet-atlet gitu yang mendunia gitu yang ada di Indonesia. Mengusung juga nilai-nilai ini ya, nilai-nilai Pancasila ya. Jadi ini nanti nih dikasih tahu nih atlet-atlet Indonesia yang mendunia itu siapa aja gitu, berdasarkan temanya. Begitu Mbak.
Okay.
Iya.
Right.
Terus
How
yang
about the communicative as well as the task based?
komunikatif ya, for the communicative, it supports students to be active participants in learning, Mbak Yumna. Jadi language serves both functional and social purposes. Nah, jadi students tuh harus relate bahasanya tuh nggak sekedar hanya vocabnya, tapi juga harus mengerti meanings-nya, and it relates to functional and contextual and social purposes. And then emphasis the importance of authentic communication, learners being actively engaged in real life situations, and so on and so forth. Begitu. Jadi terus yang ketiga ini berdasarkan task-based approach. Nah, for the task-based approach, teachers has to provide students with several key tasks. Jadi tugasnya itu nanti diintegrasikan ke dalam 4 aspek pembelajaran, aspek listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Seperti yang tadi itu kan contohnya. Nah, Terus, focus on solving tasks or problems that relevant to everyday communication needs. Jadi tugasnya tuh nggak hanya tugas cuman sekedar kayak yang Brown itu kayak multiple choice and then gap filling, selection, deletion, kayak gitu-gitu. Tapi harus relevan juga ke komunikasi sehari-hari gitu. Harus relevan dengan daily communication needs begitu Mbak Yumna. And then the task has also require communications or interactions or solving a problems. And then planning. Jadi siswanya tuh juga kadang-kadang diminta untuk dia mendesain sendiri hari ini mau belajar apa, terus kita mau ngapain, aktivitasnya mau ngapain gitu. Jadi siswa tuh diajak diskusi juga untuk to design their learning concept begitu Mbak Yumna.
In your opinion, Mbak Nuzul, do we as a teacher has always provide a text or a task that relevant to everyday communication needs of the students?
Yeah, I think because the curriculum has come into the newest curriculum in Curriculum Merdeka, so we have to provide a task for students that relates to uh, communication purposes or ya harus relates dengan daily communication needs Mbak Yumna.
Then, for example, you take a text titled London Bridge, for example. Do you think that is relevant to everyday communication needs? Because we know that still many teacher used references or resources from Western countries.
Iya, that is based on the themes. Nanti kita coba lihat themes-nya ya. Saya kan nggak tahu tematiknya itu yang ada di buku itu apa aja. Misalnya ini temanya tentang apa ya? London Bridge ya. London Bridge itu berarti mungkin masuk ke vacation, mungkin ya, vacation. Eh, Kalau menurut saya ya Mbak Yumna, nanti kita bisa diskusiin dulu sih dengan murid-muridnya. Kita bisa melakukan kayak brainstorming dulu kan, brainstorming activity, terus nanti kan dari situ kita tahu nanti anak itu minatnya tuh ngomongin tentang apa gitu Mbak Yumna. Kalau London Bridge misalnya temanya itu tentang eh, misalnya tentang apa ya, tentang culture yang ada di luar negeri ya, mau nggak mau ya kita juga harus provide sih, maksudnya nggak harus yang pelajaran itu kan nggak harus yang students itu harus yang udah tahu ya. Kalau menurut saya sih, yang namanya belajar kan dari yang tidak tahu menjadi tahu gitu. Nah, tapi kontennya yang dibahas apa itu kita juga kadang-kadang perlu adjust the students needs gitu and interest gitu. Kayak siswa tuh pengen keponya tuh kayak belajar apa toh. Nah, itu sih yang berbeda dari kurikulum kita sekarang ya. Kita harus adjust the students needs and interest. Jadi nggak hanya tekstual gitu, nggak hanya textual books. Nah, nggak hanya yang ada di buku-buku aja. Kadang-kadang kita dalam satu topik pembahasan kita harus memprovide itu keinginan dari siswanya sendiri untuk belajar. Kan namanya merdeka belajar ya. Nah, itu yang disebut merdeka belajar gitu. Jadi siswanya benar-benar merdeka mau belajar apa nih, kita mau bahas apa gitu. Mbak Nabila itu emang jago banget ya kalau dia mau bahas apa gitu yang kayak bener-bener kita butuhin itu.
No, 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 no. All right, thank you, Mbak Nuzulia,
Ya,
for answering my
oke.
questions.
Kita ah ini habis ini Mbak Gayatri ya Mbak ya.
Yes.
Mbak
Yeah.
Gayatri udah bisa record.
Sudah.
Oke ya. So, thank you friends. This is such an interesting discussion. So we'll come to a second section that comes from Mbak Gayatri. So Mbak Gayatri, the time is yours.
Mbak izin bertanya, tadi yang note taking siapa ya?
Tadi Mbak Gayatri
Iya,
yang note taking.
oke. For now, for my session, terus note takingnya siapa?
Mbak
Saya nggak apa-apa.
Gania?
Saya nggak apa-apa.
Oke, thank you. Hang a second. Okay, can you see my screen now, everyone?
Yes. Yes, Mbak Gayatri.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everybody. So today I will continue our discussion on developing a reading test and writing test for senior high school students. In previous meeting, we have talking about how to develop a reading test, and now I will review. I will give you a quick review about this stage of how to make the reading test. Like we have to define the purpose, and then we have to know the text selection or the criteria when we want to assess the reading skill of our students. And then there are various type and format that we can use for assessing reading tests. So that here today I will give you some like sample question, whether multiple choice question, short answer, true or false, or matching, and finally we will see open-ended also. And then this is the rubric for assessing the reading skill. And then there are at least three level that we want to assess the student reading skills. On that, it's important to us to pay attention to these three levels, like literal comprehension, inferential comprehension, and critical comprehension. And then this is the challenges, justification. In the previous meeting, we are not only talking about the reading test, but also we are talking about how to develop writing test too. I will give a short review here, like the writing task. And the purpose of writing task is to measure learner ability to produce written English that is coherent, accurate, and communicative. And we can also pay attention to this uh, this item like content, organization, language use, mechanic, and communicative effect. And then also there are various types or the format of the test that we can use when we want to assess student writing skill, like control or guided writing, functional writing, and then short essay, and the last one is integrated writing. This is the assessment criteria. It includes content, organization, vocabulary, language use, and mechanics. And this is the challenges. And then, well, let's see the rubric here. Last time we have talking about the rubric, We use the Bloom taxonomy. And yeah, this is the example of reading test that I have made. Let's start from defining. Before we make a reading test, we have to know the curriculum. We have to make sure that we make an assessment that align with the Indonesian students curriculum, right? Like here I choose the material is report text for class 8, and then the objective of the material is this one, analisis struktur teks dan unsur kebahasaan untuk melaksanakan fungsi sosial teks factual report dengan menyatakan dan menanyakan tentang teks ilmiah faktual tentang orang, binatang, benda, gejala, dan peristiwa alam dan sosial secara sederhana sesuai dengan konteks pembelajaran di pelajaran lain di kelas 11, dan indikatornya adalah menguraikan struktur teks dan unsur kebahasaan yang digunakan dalam teks ilmiah faktual dengan konteks penggunaannya. Kemudian another objektif dari kurikulum ini juga menangkap makna dalam teks ilmiah faktual atau factual report, baik secara lisan dan tulis, secara sederhana tentang orang, binatang, benda, gejala, dan peristiwa alam dan sosial terkait dengan mata pelajaran lain di kelas 11. Dan indikatornya adalah at the end of the lesson, students can identify the information from the report text, and then they can define the reference, the specific words from the text. It's deal with the vocabulary, and then the last one, the students can define the main idea of the text. And yeah, here I select the text from internet, from website that's called ReadWorks here, and I choose this one, Borobudur, the world's largest Buddhist temple. Here, why I choose this one? Because I think the text is aligned with Indonesian context. Like we know that the Borobudur is in Indonesia, and I think the students mostly know about the temple, right? So that I choose this one. And I think the text also aligned with learning material that not only about its culturally aligned, but also it easier for the students to engage with the text. And here's the text. The purpose of the text is to inform or explain the facts about Borobudur, its story, structure, symbolism, and cultural significance. And we know that the report text has two structure. The first one is general classification, and the second one is description. In the general classification, the text is introduce the topic and give general information about Borobudur. Borobudur, what is it, and what is known for. And this is the example of the paragraph that talk about Borobudur, the introduction about Borobudur. And then the second one is description. In the structure of description, so that the text give detailed information about the topic, its parts, qualities, history, function, and significance. And there are several paragraphs that describe the location and history of Borobudur, and then cultural background of the temple. And then the last one is talking about symbolism and structure from Borobudur. And then after we choose the appropriate curriculum, and then we select the appropriate text, we now can make a reading test for our students. Let's start from multiple choice here. Actually, I give 10. Then I made 10 multiple choice question. Let's start from this one. I made what is the main idea of the text. We know that it's very popular, right? For our students assessment for reading skill. Like what's the main idea of the text? And then I give this I use this four option here, and also I uh, define this structure from this four option. Like from the question, the focus of the question is to identify the main idea and it to assess the level of students reading comprehension for literal comprehension. And when we look at the rubric that I have shown before, it it assess the students in the level proficient, like uh, whether the students can identify the main idea, draw conclusion, and infer meaning from familiar context. And then from the main idea here, it's clearly enough that uh, it to assess the student whether they can identify the main idea, because it state that the main idea from the question. And then the test also assess the ability to summarize explicit purpose of the text. And then the second question is what material was used to build Borobudur Temple? Actually, the students can find the answer directly because it's stated in the text, so that it assess the literal comprehension level of the students. And then the third one, I made where is Borobudur located? It also literal comprehension level for students, because the students just asked to identify the location of the Borobudur, and it would be easier for them to find the answer based on the text directly. And then the fourth one, I make this one. According to the text, when was Borobudur completed? It also such a literal comprehension, literal reading comprehension level, because it just asks student to recognize the chronology of the Borobudur itself. And then the fifth, I made this one. This is such a question that assess the different level of comprehension inferential. The question is, what might be one reason why Borobudur was abounded? And here, the skill focus is to ask students to identify cause and effect. And for the based on the rubric that we have shown before, it assess the students in the high level profession, whether the students can identify not only the main idea, but also they can infer meaning from information that they got from the text. And then the next question is the word symbolizes in the text is closest in the meaning to blah blah blah. The question focus to ask students to interpret vocabulary in context, and it assess the students in the different level of comprehension. and it's inferential. And then the seventh question is, what does the level called Kama Dhatu represent? We know that the Kama Dhatu is, what is that? Specific words that only include in the text. And the skill focus here is to ask the students to recognize definition of these specific words here. And it assess the literal comprehension of students. And this one, I also give some distractor here. For form and formlessness, it can be distract the students. And then for the next question is, which paragraph tell about how Borobudur was rediscovered? From the question, we know that the skill focus is require the students to recognize paragraph function, and it can be assessed the student literal comprehension. And based on the rubric, when the students can answer this one, so that they in the level of developing, they not only uh, know about the literal meaning from the text, but also they can recall explicit detail of the text. And then for the next, the question is, what is the purpose of passageway that connect the temple's level? Yeah, the level of comprehension here from the question is from inferential to critical, because it asks the students to interpret symbolic meaning from the temple. And the rubric, based on the rubric, when the students can answer the questions on that, they are in the advanced level. It means that the students can interpret unfamiliar words, can infer meaning, and give insightful evidence. And then the last question is, what does the pronoun they in the sentence they symbolize the spiritual journey refer to? Here we know that it also asks the students to get the meaning of they in a specific sentence. So that the question are asked the students to identify referent of pronoun, and it can assess the literal students' comprehension. When the students can answer this one correctly, so that they are in the developing level. Okay, so that we will move on to another type that we can use, a type of question that we can use to assessing reading skill. We can use like true or false question form. And I have made this 1 second, five question. Like the first one, Borobudur was built during the time when Hindu and Buddhist culture influenced Java, and the answer is true. And the comprehension level is inferential. Why it inferential? Because the students not only get the answer based on the literal meaning, but also they have to connect some information from the text. And then the second one is, after being rediscovered, Borobudur was immediately restored by archaeologists in the early 1800s. And the answer is false. It is the literal in the literal comprehension level. And then the third question is the stupas at the top level of Borobudur represent the enlightened mind free from earthly desires. And the answer is true. It also assess the literal comprehension of our students because it just check the students' understanding of symbolism that it's directly state in the text. And then for the fourth one, the pilgrims used to walk counterclockwise around Borobudur as a meditation ritual. And here we know that the answer is false. It also to assess students in the literal comprehension level. And then the last one, the temple to sun represent a physical journey that mirrors spiritual progress toward enlightenment. Here, such another level of comprehension because it assess the critical comprehensions because the students uh, not only can conclude from the text, but also they have to understand better the symbolic from Borobudur temple to answer this one, whether is it true or not. Okay, let's move to the another type of question that we can use to assess reading skill, students' reading skill. This is the short answer question. And I have made four question. The first one, the example for assessing the literal comprehension level, like what natural features surround by Borobudur Temple. And it's expected that the students can answer it lies between two volcanoes and two rivers in Kudu Valley, Central Java. The task is to recall or of directly state geographical information that state in the text. And then the second one, why do historians think Borobudur architecture represent a blending of culture? Our students are expected to answer like because it combines Indian culture and religious influences with Javanese architecture. And such the questions are assessed to the another level like inferential. So that it requires the students to connect the idea like Indian Merchant influence with the Javanese design. And then the third one, what happened to Borobudur after the 15th century and how it rediscovered. This is such example of literal to inferential comprehension level, and the students are expected to answer like this one. It was abandoned and recovered by volcanic ash and vegetation, and so on and so forth. And then the test is to assess the student ability to summarize sequence of event across the paragraph. And then for the last question is explain what the three main level of Borobudur symbols in Buddhism. Here we know that it is such a literal comprehension question because the students can find the answer better uh, when they comprehend the text fully because it assesses comprehension of symbolic structure. And for the assessment rubric for the short answer question, like this one, based on the rubric from level A until level F, like in level A, The students can provide complete, accurate, and well-explained responses. When they are in the level B, the students can provide mostly accurate and relevant information, but still in a minor detail omission. In the level C, it reflects that students can answer show partial understanding, but may include one correct idea but missing key support. And then for the level D, the students can give minimal or unclear response that does not address the question fully. And when the last level, beginning level, so that the student reflect that they has no meaningful response, or they not give a meaningful response for the reading test. And then another form that we can use is open-ended or critical responses. So that we will focus on the critical question only. I have made 3 questions here. Like what can we learn from the rediscovery and restoration of Borobudur about the importance of cultural preservation? So that the students are expected to explain about rediscovering Borobudur. And then the second question is, how does Borobudur architecture reflect the spiritual belief or Buddhism? The students are expected to answer like they defining the 3 level of symbolize of the temple, and also they give or they write the answer fully. It's mean like they not only give write some information based on the text, but also they can elaborate with some extended information that they got from another resource or others resources. And then the third one is this one. If Borobudur had never been discovered, what aspect of Indonesian history and culture might have been lost? Here we know that we ask our students to give their reason, and then students may reason that an important connection to ancient Javanese art, religion, and identity would be missing, and the world would lose as an example of cultural fashion and architectural beauty. It's just a sample of the expected response from the students. And then here's some assessment guide that teacher can use for assessing or for scoring the students' critical response question from the level advanced till the beginning. In the highest level, the students shown that uh, they can give the deep comprehension, they can connect the cultural items, moral and symbolic dimension. In the level proficient, they can give the good interpretation, but still have the mean lack of elaboration. In the level of developing, it means that the students can understand the main message, but still lack of reflection. And then for the level of emerging, it's shown that the students can mention idea without connection. And then the last or the lowest level is beginning. It's shown that the students got the minimal understanding of the text. And then let's move to the writing test example that I have made here. Actually, there are four 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 type of the question. The first one is guided or control writing. I still use the material like the report text so that it focus developing the task and the material is report text. This is the sample, the first sample. We can ask our students to write a short report text about Komodo dragons. It means why I choose the Komodo dragon here because we know that the Komodo is one of the animal that famous in Indonesia, and I think it's relevant to the Indonesian context. And we ask our students to follow the outline below to help them to write in a complete sentences. Like the guided or controlled writing, it's mean we help our students step by step to write, and it's suitable for the students that may uh, may have the lowest writing skill because we as a teacher have guide our students to arrange some paragraph. Like the title is Komodo Dragon, and then we clearly define the paragraph, the first paragraph and the second paragraph. The first paragraph is talking about the general classification. Like we can help our students with some question like what is Komodo Dragon, and then where can it can be found, what make it special, and then we can also make some vocabulary to help them before writing so that they can connect or they can use some vocabulary that we gave to them before they write. And then the second paragraph is description. Like we also can give our student with some question like what do Komodo dragon like look like? What do they eat? How do they hunt or survive? And the assessment focus is to uh, we expect that our students can use the correct report structure, general classification and also description, and then our student can use of simple present tense and factual and also objective language, and it's to assess our students ability to construct sentence from guided prompt and also some vocabulary that uh we gave to our students. And then another type another type of writing test that we can use is functional writing. And here's the sample of the task. Like we ask our students to be a journalist at school. So that functional writing is help the students to write uh, to sorry, we ask our students to write to be a writer for the organic audience so that they are not only write for the text only but also they write for the reader, and then there another other people will read their writing after all, so that here we can define the role of our student first as a journalist, and then they have to write a report text about the famous landmark in Indonesia, for example, bisa Borobudur Temple, or maybe like Toba or Mount Bromo. Or maybe we can ask our students to focus on the landmark in their region. It will be easier for them to write. And then it include a short general classification and then description, and also use factual and objective language. And the assessment focus to build their communicative skill for the communicative purpose. Not only write, but also they have to informing. And then it we are expected that our students aware of the audience also. And then they can use the correct structure, tenses, and also factual detail of the information they will write. And then the another question or another writing task that we can use for assessing students' writing skill is this one, short essay. This is the sample task. Like we ask our students to write a short essay in form of a report text about natural phenomenon in Indonesia. For example, like this one, Mount Krakatau, Coral Triangle, or maybe Rafflesia arnoldii, something like that. And then we expected that our students write based on these three point, like they use the general classification and then give the detailed description and then use objective and scientific language. In the short essay, it will be focused on the factual explanation and description, logical organization, and paragraph unity, so that we have to pay attention with the coherent and cohesive device that the student used. And then when we talking about essays on that, it would be formal style, and then we have to pay attention with the grammar and mechanic appropriate for academic writing. The last type that we can use is this one, extended essay. And here is the sample task. We ask our students to write an extended report about one of the following topics. So that the topic, when we deal with extended writing, I think we have to not only give our students the simple topic, but also we have to create more challenging for them, because they in extended essays on that they have they have uh they have the highest level of writing, so that it helped them to go to the next level of writing skill. And here's the example topics that we can use, like the biodiversity of Indonesian rainforest, or maybe the influence of volcanic activity in Indonesia geography. And in this essay, the students should include not only the general classification or maybe description, but also they have to give some factual support from at least some sources from book, website, or scientific article. And the writing are expected to use the objective tone and formal academic language. And this assessment focus on the depth of research and factual accuracy, logical organization and flow of ideas, use of cohesive devices and formal academic register, or maybe integration of multiple reference if applicable. But I think for the extended essay here will be suitable for the university student, because I think what I know in the SHS or senior high school level, I think the students are uh, are assigned a writing task that more simple, like short essay, functional writing, or maybe guided or controlled writing. Okay, and then this is the analytical rubric that we can use to give score after we conduct our writing assessment. As I showed before, that there are some criteria that we have to pay attention to, like content, organization, vocabulary, language use, and mechanic. And the criteria is, there are 1, 2, 3, 4: excellent, good, fair, and poor. We can read our students' tasks, and then we can look at the students' works, and yeah, we assess with the content, organization, vocabulary, language use, and mechanics. If the students show the excellent work, so that they can give the comprehensive and factual information. They can demonstrate the clear understanding of topic, and then they write with a clear and logical structure. They can classify, and they can give the classification and also the description in the smooth transition, and then they use the wide range of academic and scientific terms or vocabulary in the writing, and then also they use consistent of tenses like the present tense in the report text. They can use passive voice and a complex sentence in an appropriate way, and then they use the correct punctuation, capitalization, and spelling in the writing. And then for the next level or the next criteria, if the students are in a good level, it means that students write in mostly accurate and relevant, but still have a minor omission. Mostly use logical structure, but still like there are some still minor collapses in the flow. And then they use adequate vocabulary with minor misuse. And then for the grammar, they can use the grammatical the grammar in a proper appropriate way, but still maybe still error, and then few minor error. And then for the fair level, it shows that the students can write the essay or can writing with a limited or partial accurate content, some disorganization or unclear translation, use the limited vocabulary, or maybe they just use the vocabulary repeated, and then frequent grammatical issue, and then maybe there are some unclear part and some distracting error. And then for the lowest levels level or poor, it means that students write in the relevant or inaccurate information, and then they disorganized and hard to follow the structure, and then they use inappropriate or incorrect vocabulary, and then they may face error in the language use, and many serious errors that we have to help the students, or we have to cut our students in the poor level so that they can level up their writing skill in the highest level. Well, that's all from me. This is the reference. All right. If you have any question, please you can write in the chat box, or maybe you can open your mic directly. Or maybe we can discuss about some some your experience when you deal with writing or reading assessment from Mbak Nuzulia, maybe you have one, or Mbak Azhara Jannah, Mbak Gania.
May I ask Mbak Gayatri?
Yeah.
Okay, before that, thank you for the opportunity. I have question. So, in every type of task, it must be have different bobot ya, bobot penilaian gitu kan. For example, like in short answer and fill in the blank, or in matching, or in multiple choices. And how can we, bagaimana cara kita bisa mengetahui atau membuat membuat setiap soal itu berbeda dalam perbobotannya, Mbak? Apakah itu berdasarkan based on how seberapa sulitnya soal, atau berdasarkan dari objectives pada setiap soalnya? Yeah, that's my question, Mbak Gayatri.
Okay, thank you very much for your question, Mbak Gania. Oke, untuk mencari tahu pembobotannya, I think we have to know the level of comprehension here that we want to assess. So that, as I mentioned before in the previous meeting, there are at least 3 level of comprehension, right? Wait, hang a second. This one, Mbak Gania, literal comprehension, inferential comprehension, critical comprehension. So that we as a teacher have to make sure that we make a question based on, sorry, we made an assessment that cover these 3 level of comprehension. And pembobotannya, I think it would deal with the rubric that the teacher use. Seperti itu.
Kalau untuk jawaban kayak yang jawabannya pasti seperti Mbak, kan kita tidak perlu rubrik kan ya, Mbak?
Sorry?
Untuk kayak jawaban yang pasti, semisal apa, multiple choice atau short answer, tapi yang jawabannya pasti atau fill in the blank seperti itu kan, we no need to apa, rubrik kan ya, Mbak? Jadi
Oh ya, ya, because jawabannya hanya ada 1 ya, Mbak. Okay. Is there any question, Mbak Kenia?
no, I think no, Mbak, sudah cukup. Thank you for the answer, Mbak Gayatri.
Okay, thank you very much, Mbak Kenia. Any others?
May I, Mbak Gayatri?
Ya, Mbak.
Okay, can you show us the rubric assessment?
Rubric assessment for writing or reading?
Writing.
All right, hang a second. For the writing, actually, I have attached the Bloom taxonomy in the previous meeting, but Nuzulia, this one,
Okay, can you make it bigger?
yeah, this one.
So the appraised dimension is writing, or it includes the grammar, vocab, and understanding.
Yes,
And then, okay, can we make or add one aspects into writing components of assessment, like creativity, Mbak Gayatri?
I think
Yeah,
I think we
and
can include the creativity because when we deal with the level of comprehension in the critical level, but Mbak Nuzulia, we ask our students not only about give the apa ya, hang on a second, writing this one, Mbak Nuzulia.
yeah, produce a new
Mm.
or original. Okay, so yeah, and my question is, what role should we as a teacher provide creative aspects in writing assessment, Mbak Gayatri? So what components, or is there any several criterion to assess creativity aspects in writing components, Mbak Gayatri?
Okay, when we want to assess our students,
Hmm?
there we know that we can use apa namanya berbagai macam task tadi ya Mbak, ya kan? Dan itu kan we can adjust or we can use the type of the tasks based on the students' ability too, right? Before we assess our students, we know that the ability our students where di mana levelnya seperti itu, right? Jadi we as a teacher, when we want to build their creativity or give the opportunity to students to uh, creative in their writing, so that we have to what is that? Give them give them some exploration. But I think in my view it would be uh tricky too because when they
Yeah, yeah,
just go
yeah, yeah.
onto the creativity, so
Itu,
that takutnya ya
ya itu
another
juga.
aspect that we have to assess to the students whether the language use or maybe the grammatical aspect would be apa hider kayak gitu.
Ya, kayaknya kita butuh juga sih rubrik assessment to assess creativity of the students gitu. Maksudnya, ya kita tuh nge-adjust kreativitasnya tuh berdasarkan apanya gitu. Karena kan ini kan subjektif banget gitu ya.
Iya,
Maybe next or uh, apa nanti Mbak Gayatri bisa nanti di sesi informal discussion bisa nanti sharing-sharing components untuk menilai kreativitas tuh dilihat dari apanya gitu mungkin.
oh yeah, alright. This interesting banget because we know that our current curriculum is talking about the context ya, konteksnya apa, terus
Oh iya,
bahasanya apa.
uh, in
Iya,
this di
kadang
kurikulum,
terlalu mengotak-ngotakkan nggak sih Mbak?
kalau di kurikulum kita sekarang itu kan ya memunculkan kreativitas gitu. Nah, saya tuh curious gitu kalau di writing itu nanti kreativitasnya tuh kita yang nilainya tuh komponennya tuh apa aja gitu yang untuk menilai kreativitasnya gitu. Gitu Mbak
Iya.
Gayatri ya. Thank you. Thank you for the response Mbak Gayatri.
Thank you very much Mbak Nuzulia. Or maybe another students will give some opinion about creativity. How to assess student creativity in writing. Oh, or maybe for the creativity there would be some another type ya Mbak Nuzudia ya. Maksudnya creative writing. Do you mean?
Yes, yes Mbak Gayatri.
Ya,
Iya,
maybe itu bisa jadi tipe yang lain nih. Kan kalau kita kan punya 4 ya tadi sebelumnya. Kalau di sini PPT saya tuh ada 4 aja tipenya, tipe tasknya gitu loh Mbak. Tuh hanya ada 4 sampai integrated writing. Maybe for the highest task type itu ada creative writing.
Mm-mm.
Mungkin uh, ada sendiri, maybe.
Mm-mm.
We will find more ya after this class.
Ini mungkin kayak di pelajaran di rubriknya mem ini ya. Mem Puji yang di critical reading and writing itu apa ya?
Critical reading and writing.
Itu kan
Oh iya.
ada rubriksnya itu kan ya, rubriks of assessment-nya itu ya. Mungkin bisa,
So that it's for the highest level of education, Mbak Nuzulia.
oh iya
If
ya.
we deal with Indonesian context.
Heeh. Dan kadang pun juga sama-sama levelnya, misal level 10 gitu, juga mereka juga beda ininya, ada yang di beginner, ada yang intermediate, ada yang advance gitu ya.
Yeah. So that it will be tricky, apalagi in Indonesian context that we teach different level of students.
Yes.
Kadang ada yang levelnya udah tinggi, ada yang masih rendah. So that ya bisa ditugaskan secara bermacam-macam ya, Mbak. Ada yang mungkin butuhnya guided, ada yang bisa langsung ke fungsional.
Permisi guys,
Ya,
I
Kak Iks.
think time is our.
Oh yeah, the time is up. Is there any question?
Thank you
Okay.
so much for your very detailed presentation. I don't have any question from you. Then I think it's enough for today.
Ya.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Thank you for listening. Our material today. I hope you got the new insight that will help you to assess not only reading skill or writing skill, but also pronunciation skill, vocabulary, and also vocabulary, pronunciation, and what, Mbak Nuzulia? The last skill?
Grammar.
Grammatical skill. Okay, and that's all for today. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Have a nice day, everybody.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mbak Nuzu.
Waalaikumsalam. See you.